Well, hello, this is Cole. Welcome to another YAFI Underground screencast. We're doing editing. Specifically, we're doing audio editing, and specifically, we're doing pacing dialogue. I'm using a short film that we had done for a film racing 100-hour competition, and I'm just using a small scene from it because we're just going to discuss a couple of the techniques, specifically that miking on set, gaps on set, which are things that happen before we actually get to the edit bay, before we import anything, before any of that. Miking on set, we want to make sure that we have really high quality audio on set, which means you need to start looking at the sound guy as being a sound guy or gal, as being as important as a camera operator. They are gathering a different kind of waveform. The camera operator is gathering light. The boom operator is gathering sound. They're technically just energy in the form of a wave. They're gathering the same thing. If you read the book Audio Video by Chion, C-H-I-O-N, he makes mention that as humans, we experience sound in the womb first. And so that is something we are more closely attuned to than vision. And we spend a lot of our time on vision. It's easy to fool the eye. It's much harder to fool the ear. So we want to make sure that we're gathering sound really well on set and treating it almost more importantly than the picture. I'm a cinematographer. For me, picture is everything, and I'm telling you the sound is more important to your edit. So, with that in mind, when you mic on set, we want to be as close to the talent as possible. That means take the time to tell your boom operator before a take where the top of their frame is so they know how close they can be to the actors. If you're in a close-up, you want to get just the audio from that person. If you're doing a two-shot, you can rock it back and forth. Try to move the microphone only between lines of dialogue. And that leads into the next thing, which is our gaps on set. Gaps on set is when actors are delivering dialogue, you want to see gaps between what they're doing, and that'll come in handy in the edit if they don't walk over each other's lines. And here's what it sounds like when there are gaps on set.
Going on.
There we go, we'll get to a point where they're both talking here.
To who? It's just you and me, Skip.
Gap,
So what are you planning to do?
gap,
Duster.
gap.
Are you serious?
So you can see that there are definite gaps between the lines of dialogue. And if we look at it in a waveform, we can see that there are gaps here, there are gaps here. This is that same stuff we were just listening to.
We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. You're still trying to save the world, hey, Skip? We got too much trash.
So this is where we're going to be doing our editing. This is what we'll be looking at. The waveforms I'm not actually really happy with in Final Cut because they're not as bold as I would like them to appear in the editor. I want them to actually go all the way up, and they don't, which is kind of frustrating. But I'm in Final Cut Pro. These techniques will work in any editing application whatsoever, so long as it handles sound. I believe it'll actually work in Vegas better because Vegas started out as a sound program and then got video capabilities added on to it. One of the things I'm going to do is, because we're going to be making changes in here, and we want them to make changes here and here as well, I'm going to be turning on our sync to gang, which will be, if I move this, it'll move here and there as well. So, we're going to start out by cutting up our dialogue. So that'll look like that. There is our full spectrum of stuff. And we're going to start from when they come back out here.
Well, it doesn't matter. What are you doing?
We're going to start from right there. I'm using the blade tool, which is B, and the arrow tool, which is A. It's irrelevant if you're not using Final Cut, but that's what I'm using to switch between the little razor blade, which is a trim tool. It'll cut, it'll split a clip, it'll cut it in half. I'm sure there's menu items and stuff for it as well, but this is specifically how I do it. It's called split clip in iMovie. So if you're doing this in iMovie or Final Cut 10, which is iMovie-esque, I'm sure there's a command for that as well. So we're going to be going like this, and I will load this up in here and look at our audio, and here we go. I'm going to mark beginnings. I'm going to mark beginnings of pieces of dialogue here, and since this shot is concentrating on John is this actor, I'm going to just mark the beginnings and endings of his dialogue. Actually, I'm going to mark just the beginnings of his dialogue, is how I'm going to do this.
Who is she? She's rubble. Doesn't matter. It does.
So put a mark there. I'm using M. The other way you can do this is, if you're just looking at a timeline, you can do it the same way. Following our volume here on the lower right, we can do it this way.
Who is she? She's rubble. Doesn't matter. It does.
So we get to the beginning of the line, we would take our blade tool, we'll cut it, and since I'm only interested in his dialogue, I'm actually going to remove that.
It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. So what are you planning? So what are you planning to do? Duster, are you Are you serious? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Still trying to save the world, hey, Skip? We got too much trash back there already. Leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide. It's a two.
So, there's the end of that dialogue. With Bo looking epically cool. And so we've got a couple of chunks of dialogue.
It does matter. To who? It's just you and me. It does matter. To who?
Now, I'm going to actually remove all of the bits that are not his dialogue.
It does matter. So what are you planning to do?
There's that.
Are you serious? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help.
Alright.
Are you serious? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help.
Now let's work on the reverse of this shot. I've got my my shot, and then we've got a reverse shot here, which is focused on Bo. So now, if we take a look at that guy, we will see that we have dialogue there as well. And I'm going to put this up on track 2. There. Try to sneak that a little bit bigger. You can see what we're working on. Alright, so we are looking at this piece of dialogue.
It does matter.
So let's find that in here. I'll turn this one off, I'll turn this one on.
Quiet set, please. Action.
That's my voice. That was me on set.
What the hell are you doing? What? Who is she? She's rubble. Doesn't matter. It does.
Alright, so there is.
What? Who is she?
We're going to start right there. echo from It Doesn't Matter, which is a nice place to start this conversation.
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who?
We'll do the same thing with his.
To
That's
who?
what we do with
It's just
John's.
you and me, Skip. So, what are you planning? Duster. Are you serious? We need to take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Still trying. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We got enough trash back there. Leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide. What's it to you?
And that's where we left off the other one. So let's trim out John's dialogue and leave just Bo's on this one.
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. So...
Oh,
Duster. Are you... Duster. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We got enough trash back there. Leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide. What's it to you? Hell, I'll let her decide.
alright. So, now we've got just Bo's dialogue. We've got just John's dialogue. And if we nudge them all together here and line them all up, we will see a horribly edited dialogue. But the point is, it is a dialogue. And so, what we're going to be doing is, we're going to be adjusting the audio. And we're going to be pacing this scene. So, we have already gotten to this point where we're checkerboarding. So our next part is to pace it. So, let's take a listen to it and see what it sounds like.
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. So what are you planning to do? Duster. Are you serious? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We got enough trash back there. Leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide.
Okay, so if we take a look at how that looked, it ping-pongs back and forth. It's actually called a ping-pong dialogue scene. It's one actor delivers a line, then the next actor delivers a line, and we've cut it in a very beginner type of way, which is you put the lines together, you put the cutting back and forth together. You'll note that because we used this audio from each of the separate shots, and I had the boom operator pointing the boom at the actor we were covering in the camera, that the camera and the audio match. And so that when we cut them together like this, we end up with a fairly seamless dialogue. In fact, if we turn the video off and listen to it...
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. So what are you planning to do? Duster. Are you serious? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We got enough trash back there. Leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide.
Okay, now, if you take a look at this, yeah, it was fairly seamless. There are slight differences due to the background noise when we're pointing a boom one direction as opposed to the other, the equipment on set and all that stuff. We actually had a generator upstairs and outside, about 100 feet away according to the number of extension cords we used. Whoa, that's loud. Sorry. According to the number of extension cords that we used, it was 100 feet away. So there was some audio based on that was coming through in the one that wasn't coming through in the other, just because of the pattern of the microphone we were using. It was a low bar microphone. So what we are trying to do now is we're actually going to not consider the video. We're going to work on the pacing of this dialogue.
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does matter.
Okay? I want him to react faster to that. I want John to react faster to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to zap that out a little bit and make it longer so it's easier to deal with. I'm going to turn my snapping off just so that it doesn't snap to the edges of stuff, so I can move it a little bit at a time. And we're going to do this.
Doesn't matter. It does matter.
Ideally, I'd want to go for a take that has a more aggressive, it does matter, you know, that kind of thing. And I know I've got some in there, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just doing these two takes. But each of these could be from a separate take. If you cut them all up and you take the best line from every single one that has the level of acting you want. In fact, if you're on set, I would encourage you to try to not get the same read every single take. If you can, in fact, get your actors to do different levels, different intensities, different speeds, different paces, it gives you more options in the edit to pace these things out. I actually saw an interview with Tom Cruise once that said, "It's my editors that make me look so cool." Because he knows that he has an on-screen presence, and he knows he doesn't have that on set. And if you watch his acting in the solid takes, he does not have that screen presence that he does after he's edited together and these dialogues are tweaked and they pick the best reaction from each of the takes and they pick the best pieces of dialogue. And if they don't have it, they take a piece of dialogue from a different take and put it under the video, and we'll show you that in a second too, down here on one of these lines.
Well, doesn't matter. It does matter.
Okay, so that's a nice pace right there. I like that. I'm going to sneak this shorter here, and I'm actually going to do just the video because I just want to make sure that I can sneak that under it.
To who? It does matter. To who? Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who?
That's enough of a pause for me. I'm happy with that. I will stretch this guy back out to the end there so that they overlap a little bit, and let's take a look at the next one.
You and me, Skip. So what are you planning to do?
Okay, that is too long of a pause. I'm going to shorten it.
Skip? So it's just you and me, Skip. So what are you planning to do?
There you go. That sounds natural. And that's what I'm going for, is I want it to sound natural, which is one of the reasons I actually have the video turned off, is I want to just listen to it. And I want to make sure that the dialogue sounds natural.
So what are you planning to do?
I know the next line is Duster, and I want that to come in right about there.
What are you planning to do? Duster.
So that there's a pause in there. I want that pause to have a little bit of weight to it. So now what we've got from the beginning so far is...
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. So what are you planning to do? Duster. Are you serious?
That should be a snap reaction.
Duster.
Almost cutting him off.
Duster. Are you serious?
There we go.
We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help.
Let's have Bo cut John off a little bit.
Settlement. She clearly needs our help. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax?
What about if we take off the line, she clearly needs our help? What does
Back
that
to the
sound?
settlement. She clearly... Take her back to the settlement.
The goal here is going to be figuring out where the word settlement ends and she begins. You can hear that sh sound. So that is the beginning of the SH sound there. In fact, if we go here and we zoom that out a bit, we should be able to see the SH starting there. So, if we go to the previous frame and call that the out of this clip. Now because I ganged it together, you'll note that when I move it here and I move it there, well, it unganged. Derp. Okay, now it should do it. There we go. So now we should be able to turn our snapping back on, so that'll clip to where we need it. Clip it to there. And that is the end of that line.
You can take her back to the settlement.
It's a little bit wonky. So let's go one more frame out. We'll do that. Snap it back.
To the settlement.
Alright. And because we're going to have him cut John off, that'll be okay, that little at the end, because it'll sound like he's actually getting cut off. Like he had something more to say. In fact, we could even scroll it a little bit farther if we need to.
Take her back to the settlement. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax?
There we go.
We can take her back to the settlement. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We can take her back to the settlement. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax?
In fact, let's actually have him overlap it a little bit.
Take her back to the settlement. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax?
And let's have him cut him off.
Take her back to the settlement. Still trying to save the world.
Take her back.
We can take her back. Still trying to save the. We can take her back. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We can take her back. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We got enough trash back there. We leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide.
There. Let's listen to the whole pace of this thing, shall we?
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. So what are you planning to do? Duster. Are you serious? We can take her back. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax?
I don't like it. I don't like that end bit. So let's scroll that out again.
Back to the settlement. She clearly needs our. Still trying to save the.
She clearly needs.
Settlement. She clearly needs. Still trying to. Clearly needs. Still trying to save the. She clearly needs. Still trying to save the world. She clearly needs. Still trying to save the. She clearly needs. Still trying to. We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs. Still trying to save the world. When she clearly needs our help. Still trying to save.
What if we stretch that out a little bit? How's that sound?
The settlement. She clearly needs our help. Still trying to save the world, huh, Jax? We got it.
How about if we go bigger here? Let's take that chunk of dialogue out there. Let's see how that does for us.
Needs our help. We got enough.
He needs to react right away, though, because that's angry. That's, I can't believe you're saying this crap. All right.
She clearly needs our help. We got enough. Back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Got enough trash back there. We leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide.
There we go. All right, let's see what we've got now and see what we've done. You're going to laugh at this edit because this edit is not that good visually. Okay, and we have to massage that, and that's fine. We were really concerned about getting the dialogue to feel natural, and we've done that, I think.
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. So what are you planning to do? Duster. Are you serious? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Got enough trash back there. We leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide.
Okay, so this one, I like this being in this angle, so we'll leave that there.
She's trouble. Doesn't matter. It does.
I want to see him when he turns around. I want to have him about there. So, I'm going to adjust just the video. Turn my snapping on here. And I'm going to do that. So we got this.
Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who? It's just.
And I want that to ride out a little bit longer because I want to continue to see his reaction to that dialogue.
It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip.
Now that actually looked pretty good. And the reason it looked good was because Bo here actually said the line which prompted the cut.
It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip.
Yeah. What happens with us when we hear something that is not in our field of vision, it causes us to turn our heads and look. We're doing the same thing here. We're having a sound, and that sound is prompting the cut, which makes the cut disappear a little bit. We can actually get it a little bit better even.
To who?
If we cut that in a little bit earlier.
It does matter. To who? It's just you and me.
Let's split the difference there.
To who? It's just you and me.
Let's make it a little bit longer. Let's make it right out a little bit.
To who? It's just you and me, Skip. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. To who? It does matter. To who? Doesn't matter. It does matter. To who? It's just you and me.
And actually, if we hang on him longer, maybe. Let's see how that looks.
It's just you and me, Skip. So what? It does matter. To who? It's just you and me, Skip. It does matter. To who? It's just...
Maybe there-ish?
To who? It's just you and me, Skip.
Yeah, that feels better.
So what are you planning to do? So what are you planning to do?
Well, let's linger a little bit longer on Bo.
So what are you planning to do? Duster. So what are you planning to do? Duster. So what are you planning to do? Duster. Are you serious?
Or not.
So what are you planning to do? Duster. Are you...
See if we can get that to overlap slightly. If we can't, we will have recorded room tone. And we will have recorded room tone on this set. So we can actually, if we have a gap like this, where there is a audible pause,
Duster. Duster.
Those actual gaps are what you would put room tone, say, in here or in here, to have it cover that gap. And it would basically be just that brrr sound of the generator in the background and that hissing of the ambient air moving around and stuff. And then afterward, once we get all this edited together, what we'll do is I will show you how to create room tone if you forgot to gather it. And that's from taking all of the little dead air spaces in your takes. Specifically, I like the beginnings of takes when nothing's happening yet. From here to quiet set, you can steal that little space. There's some up here before our Slate Girl talks. There's some here before the actors start. You can take those little pieces and you could actually take that and we could go here. There we go. And we will drag that to the third one that covers this. This will turn the video off for, because this will be a room tone track here. And if we spin that out a little bit, we can ramp up the audio to the cut and down from the cut. So if I then take that down to 0, take that down to 0, make it infinity or whatever, and move it out, and it sounds like this.
Duster.
Let's spread those out a little bit.
Duster.
Is that where my gap is? That is where my gap is. Let's take that up by here.
Duster. Are you serious?
So that's better, and we've got some difference between each of the shots, so what you can actually do is you can take a little bit of room tone from the one, a little bit of room tone from the other, and if you overlay them, you get a pretty seamless transition from one to the other. You can even crossfade from one to the other to make that seamless, more seamless, and feel more normal. So, if we do this here...
Duster, are you serious? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our... Duster, are you serious?
I actually don't like that line of dialogue, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that and I'm going to cut that back to there. And I'm going to move these in. Let's see how that feels.
What are you planning to do? Duster. We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Got enough trash back there. We leave her or dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide.
There we go. That feels a lot better. So, we have done miking on set, gaps on set, checkerboard pacing, restructuring dialogue we've done some of. Multiple takes I've talked about. Basically, because you're checkerboarding, each of these lines of dialogue can be from a different take, and that's fine. And then you just mix and match to suit your needs in the edit. In fact, you can disassociate audio, and if it's much easier if you're recording audio separately. Say if you're on a DSLR and you're recording to like a Zoom H4n or something, those actually come in as separate things. And so you can use a line of dialogue from a different take. In fact, let's do this here.
Got enough trash back there.
That is really close to peaking. So let's see if in John's take, which is 46 here, let's see if that has...
Dust her. Hell, I'll let her decide. Still trying to save the world, hey Skip? We got too much trash back there already.
He delivered the line differently in that take, so I can't necessarily use that unless I'm cut away. How about, what do we got? Let's find
Duster.
That duster. Let's find the duster from this one.
Still trying to save the world. Yes. Duster. Are you...
Okay, that was a much more subtle thing. So let's do this. I'm going to go onto that room tone track, and I'm going to find it in here.
Duster.
And that's there. So we're going to put this. I've demonstrated the room tone. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put that in that track. And we still have the video off, so we're not seeing that at all.
Duster.
That's pretty close. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dip the audio out on this one. Boink.
Duster.
And you can't even tell that I'm using the audio from a different take.
Duster.
We'll go over that again here.
Duster.
The lips are moving. You hear sound. If the sound looks similar to the lips moving, it's close enough. And 9 times out of 10, your audience will accept that that's right. So, this has been, there we go, audio from one take on top of other video. We've done that. So I've basically shown you how to edit dialogue, how to paste dialogue, and how you can restructure your script. I mean, we're rewriting in here. We're dropping lines. I can, this is a longish line here.
We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Got enough trash back there. Leave her or dust her. Leave her.
Let's do this.
Leave her.
Right here. Let's do this. Boom. Take that. instead of saying duster here, let's do this. Boom, boom. I'm going to remove that.
Beaver or Duster? Hell, I'll let her decide. Take her back. Or Duster? Hell, what do I need to do? Beaver or Duster? Hell. Or Duster? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Got it.
There we go.
Skip? So what are you planning to do? Beaver or Duster? We can take her back to the settlement. She clearly needs our help. Got enough trash back there.
There we go. We have now restructured a dialogue. We have used audio from one take on top of another take. We've talked about multiple takes. We've actually done all of the things on my list. So I'm going to leave you today. This was actually initially made for IndieTalk.com. Was where the seeds for this came from as people were starting to move from just doing that back and forth ping pong dialogue to a little bit more complex dialogue. So visit IndieTalk.com. My name is Knightley on there, K-N-I-G-H-T-L-Y. Say hey. My name is Cole. I'm from YAFIunderground.com. We'll actually take this. We'll put that there. We'll do this thing here. Please visit our site. Tell me what you think. We're working on restructuring it right now. If you watch this shortly after it's put up, there's still a lot of good stuff up there. We have more stuff to put up, including this screencast and this series that I'm currently working on. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know. Post comments on YouTube. Post comments on Indie Talk. Email me, whatever it is. And let me know what you think of this. If you have more questions that I can cover in further episodes, if you have further topics for me to cover in other episodes, if you just want to say hi, that'll work just fine. So, thank you very much, and that's it for today.